Welcome back, students. This is Dr. Musarrat Zara. We will be starting the new module, which is musculoskeletal (MSK), and we have, I guess, two chapters in it. So this is chapter 6 from your Guyton, by the name of contraction of skeletal muscles. So in this lecture, we are just going to do the introduction of skeletal muscles, some physiological aspects, some anatomical aspects of. So the learning objectives for this lecture are to, by the end of this lecture, you must be able to describe the structure of skeletal muscle fiber, define what is sarcomere, sarcolemma, myofibril, actin, and myosin, and list the steps involved in general mechanism of muscle contraction. Since you have a background knowledge of action potentials, so it will be easy for you to correlate that knowledge in this aspect. So about 40% of the body is skeletal muscle and only 10% is smooth and cardiac muscles. They have certain basic similar principles that apply to all these three types of muscle. So let's start with some of the physiological anatomy of the skeletal muscle. So in this diagram here, you can see these are cross section, that is A, B, and C, of different aspects of a skeletal muscle. So, for example, you have a whole bulk of a muscle that is shown as A. So, if you take out the muscle, different muscle, a single muscle fiber and muscle fasciculus, and then you see a fasciculus is basically a bundle of muscle fibers, and then you pull out a muscle fiber, an individual muscle fiber from it, which is C, and then you can just look at it of how many different types of proteins it is being made up of. So if we say sarcolemma, like we read plasma lemma in your cell, it consists of it is basically a cell membrane, which is a plasma membrane. जिस तरह plasma membrane है, इसी तरह अगर muscle का एक surrounding है, that is called as sarcolemma, and it is the outer coat, which is a thin polysaccharide, which is made up of thin layer of polysaccharide material or collagen fibrils. ठीक है? So then you have myofibrils. Myofibrils, they contain several hundred thousands of a muscle fiber would contain myofibrils. Then each myofibril is composed of actin and myosin. You see there are certain light bands and then there are certain dark bands, right, students? So these are the actin and the myosin filaments. So when we say myofibril, each muscle fiber would have several thousands of myofibrils. Then each myofibril is composed of about, you can say, 1500 myosin and 3000 actin filaments. Whatever you see as light over here, which is light in color, you can say that these are the actin molecule, and whatever you see in dark, you can say that these are the myosin molecules. So we call them I band, where you have the active molecules I, which is isotropic to the light. These are light in color, and wherever they are dark, for example, anisotropic to the light, we call them as A bands. So they interdigitate with one another, that is the light bands and the dark bands, actin and myosin. So wherever, for example, this whole actin molecule, you can see this light band starting from here, and then this whole complex of ending up till here with the light band. This whole complex from one light band to the next light band is called as the Z disc, or also called as the sarcomere. From this disc, these filaments, they extend in both direction to interdigitate with the myosin filaments, right? You can see here a darker band and you can see here a darker band. So in both directions, they interdigitate and they have interaction with the myosin filament. So therefore, the entire muscle fibers has light and dark bands, as do individual myofibrils, and these bands give skeletal muscles and cardiac muscles striated appearance. That's where when we say striated, means they have different striations of light and dark, and that's why we call them as having a striated appearance. So Z disc, Z is important. This is a sarcomere. This sarcomere, you must know how to define it, is the portion of the myofibril or whole muscle fiber, you can say, that lies between two successive Z discs. This is called as a sarcomere, and whenever the muscle fiber is contracted, so this the length of this changes of this sarcomere would either increase or decrease. Okay. The gross organization of these filaments. Now coming to the further detail, for example, muscle fibers, I have just summarized it there. They are single cells, they are multinucleated, they are surrounded by sarcolemma. And the myofibrils, they are the contractile elements because they contain actin and myosin, and they are surrounded by the sarcoplasm. So you must know what are these I bands. These are the actin molecule, and they appear isotropic to the light, so that's why they are light. We call them I band. And then you have the A band, which are anisotropic to the light. These are the darker bands, which are the myosin. And then you have the Z disc, which is the space between two alternate I bands, and this is also called as a sarcomere. Okay, now these the GHI, these are the different, you can say different, um, at molecular level, different, you have different gross structures at molecular level, cross sections at different level. So these are these are different cross sections at different level. For example, G, H, and I. Now, if you see this diagram, you can see these are the light bands, these are the actin molecules, and then these are the dark bands. At more molecular level, these are the myosin, the myosin molecule. These are the dark bands and these are the light bands, and they interdigitate with one another. That is the actin and the myosin. Now, the actin and the myosin, they cannot exist on its own. They are then attached to a certain protein which are called as the titin proteins. These titin proteins are not shown over here, but they would just fall off if they were not tethered to some protein, and these proteins they then join together at the midline, which is also called as the M line. So not shown over here are the titin proteins which tether both the actin and the myosin filaments together so that they are in harmony with one another. And these are called titin because these are the biggest or the largest protein molecules, largest in the whole body. These are springy titin that usually form the framework that holds the myosin and the actin filaments. Okay, so now you are clear what are Z disc. That is the between the two I bands, and then the sarcomere, and then the I band, that is the light, composed by the actin, the light bands, and the A band, which is the myosin filament, and the titin, which holds both of these, the actin and the myosin filaments together. This is the M line at which the titin molecule forms a framework for these actin and myosin filaments to hold them together and not to dysregulate. So you can see the titin which is shown here in the dotted line, which meet at the center by the. So in the relaxed state, this is the relaxed state where they would not be interdigitating much, and when the muscle is contracting, so then there would be interaction or activation or excitation between the actin and the myosin molecule, which make them come closer to one another. And you can see the relative position of the titin, the M line. So now if we come to the different type of, we said that we have actin molecule and then we have myosin molecule. So let's see them more closely. In the molecular mechanism of muscle contraction, you are going to read them closely. This is just for an overview of it. So now the whatever you are seeing here, it is an actin molecule. We said that it forms the I band and then they are tethered at the Z disc. Now, the actin molecule is formed by two other types of protein. One is called as F-actin. F-actin is composed of G-actin. Further, it is composed of G-actin, and ADP is bound to each G-actin, and myosin head binds to the active site. Myosin heads usually binds here. And then you have the tropomyosin. You have two actin molecules interdigitating with two tropomyosin molecules. These tropomyosin molecules then further contain troponin complex. Now, what do you have in troponin complex? You have troponin I, troponin T, and troponin C. These complexes which forms the troponin complex. I binds with actin, T binds with tropomyosin, and C binds with calcium. ठीक है, so tropomyosin usually covers these active site and prevents the interaction with the myosin. So this is basic structure of actin molecule. These are the active sites you can see denoted here in black on the F-actin molecule. And F-actin, I told you, it contains G-actin molecule which is bound to ADP. And then you have troponin complex which has further three types I, T, and C for its different physiological aspect whatever it is doing. Now this is the structure of a myosin molecule. A myosin molecule contains two heavy chains. Okay, molecular weight is about 200,000, and then it contains four light chains. So total of six chains, four light chains which has a molecular weight about 20,000. And this is the head region which has ATPase activity. It means it would cleave it and it would phosphorylate and cause energy shift. So what is the basic mechanism of muscle contraction? There is binding of calcium to troponin, which results in change of the tropomyosin that uncovers the active site on the actin molecule, allowing for myosin to bind to it. It might seem confusing at this point, but when you are done with the molecular mechanism of contraction, it will be much clearer to you. For the sake of sticking to this lecture, you just must know the structure of what is actin. These are proteins. What are myosin? These are also protein making up a myofibril. And then further, actin has these two further F-actin and tropomyosin, and then tropomyosin had a troponin complex. And then myosin, you have six chains, and the head of the myosin has ATPase activity. So this is again the contraction, sliding of interdigitating of. Now this is a review for you guys, the general mechanism of muscle contraction, how muscle contracts, how it initiates and how execution occurs. ठीक है, so steps होते हैं, sequence में होते हैं. So for example, action potential usually arrives, ठीक है, at a motor end plate. What is a motor end plate? You must know. A synapse between a motor neuron and a muscle fiber. This is called as a motor end plate, and usually it is usually one per fiber. So whenever action potential occurs arrives, what happens at each ending? So this nerve, it would be secreting what? Acetylcholine. Of course, you all know. Now acetylcholine would then act on the acetylcholine gated channels. And what does it do? It allows large quantity of sodium ions to diffuse. It would cause depolarization, and this depolarization leads to opening of voltage shaded sodium channels. So the action potential travels along the muscle fiber membrane in the same way that action potential that you already have done in the nerve muscle. And this action potential would depolarize the muscle, and depolarization would cause what would it cause? Cause the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and would cause the contractile process of muscle contraction. So you must know these what is synaptic trough, invagination in the motor end plate, and then the synaptic cleft. It contains acetylcholinesterase enzyme which would further degrade acetylcholine, and then the subneural cleft. Okay, these are the subneural clefts. So synaptic vesicles are formed from budding of the Golgi apparatus and are transported to terminal by exoplasm, that is the streaming. And then acetylcholine formed in the cytoplasm is transported into the vesicles. It's not really very clear over here. And this acetylcholine filled vesicle occasionally fuse so as to form miniature end plate potential. And first action potential in the spinal cord ventral horn causes depolarization opening gated calcium channels, and this increased cytosolic calcium channel fusion it causes fusion of 125 synaptic vesicles with membrane causing exocytosis and initiating muscle contraction. So this is just an overview, guys. Each and every process we are going to do in detail with every lecture, okay? So here you can see the subneural clefts, and you can see the dense bars. Calcium channels, usually they are localized around these dense bars, and whenever these vesicles fuse with the membrane in the region of the dense bar, it is going to release acetylcholine, and you can see a lot of acetylcholinesterase over here, which degrades acetylcholine. So, what is the function of these receptors? When they are excited, they would cause voltage gated sodium channels to open in the subneural cleft, causing action potential. So, acetylcholine is released into the neuromuscular junction, which binds to and opens the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor channel on the muscle fibers. If it is not, it would just cause end plate potential, and this end plate potential will initiate action potential if the spread of the current is sufficient to open the voltage gated sodium channels. And what would terminate this process? Of course, acetylcholinesterase enzyme, which would eat up any acetylcholine which is their excess is lying over there, and it is going to reshuffle it. So this was a short introductory lecture to the general physiological anatomy of the skeletal muscle, in which you should know what is actin, what is myosin. These are proteins, contractile proteins, and then the basic structure of a myofibril, what is sarcolemma, the Z disc. So see you in the next lecture. That would be, I guess, the molecular mechanism, how actin and myosin molecules, they usually interdigitate and how they bring about the muscle contraction.